Hi everyone, I'm Chef Susie with Escoffier Online and welcome to our live session today. We're going to be exploring some caramel decorations and dipping a few things in caramel as well. So knowing all that, let's get started. So I've got my caramel on the stove and it's going to take a little while, so if you have any questions while this is cooking, be sure to let me know. So I've started with some granulated sugar and some water and a little bit of corn syrup. And we're going to be cooking this to 320 degrees. And right now we are at about 157. So we've got a little ways to go. I suggest cooking these caramels on a medium heat, nothing too high. Starting to bubble a little bit, I might end up turning it down, but I'm just going to keep an eye on it. And for cooking anything like this, caramels and things, I always prefer to use a wooden spoon because the handle's not going to get hot on you. It will if you have it leaning over the side like this. If you're using a gas flame, it could heat up. You could, even if your flame is too high, you could start burning the handle. So it's not never hot, but typically it doesn't get very warm like a stainless steel spoon would, and it doesn't make any noise either. So I'm a big fan of wooden spoons. I love them in the kitchen. They don't scratch your pots and pans. You can use them on your nonsticks too. And like I said, the handles do not heat up like a metal one would. And I just like them a little bit better than plastic too. I'd feel a lot better putting a wooden spoon in something this hot as opposed to a plastic spoon. Okay. Okay, so I'm using a digital thermometer. It's malfunctioning a little bit. If you can hear the beeping, I'm sorry. So now we're at about 215 degrees. And I like these because the probe goes in and then you have a little bit of length here on this plastic. And then the front is it's very clear. And you can set this with a timer too for a certain temperature. And there's a magnet on the base too. If you're using a stove or if you're in a commercial kitchen, you can kind of put it on the front of the stove and it's not going to fall off or get bumped off easily. So I really like these type of thermometers. Okay, so we're at 217. We're going to go to 320. This is going to take a little while. It's very clear in color. It's got to get some nice caramel color to it. When it gets up to 320, I'm going to pull it off and I'm going to be putting it in a bowl of water. I'm just going to put the base of the pan in a bowl of water, and this is going to stop the cooking and start cooling it, and then we'll be able to make a few caramel decorations. And has anyone explored any decorations with caramel so far? It's pretty fun to work with. It is hot. Be very careful, especially if you have you know, older loved ones or children around with those pot handles. Make sure they're not facing out, face them in for safety. And it's very high. You don't want to be walking around the kitchen with this. See how I'm going to go right from the burner to my workstation? Try to work like that the best you can. The less you carry hot things like this around the kitchen, the more safe you're going to be. And do we have any questions on anything? Okay, so when you're in the 200 degree range, these can't kind of creep up real slow. So it's going to take a little while before we get there. So if we have any questions coming in, that would be great. And like I said, it goes pretty slow and then all of a sudden it's going to kind of pop up on us. Okay. So I think that the battery on the thermometer might be getting a little low. They kind of start acting a little funny when things like that happen, and then all of a sudden one day they just turn off. So I changed my battery on this thermometer probably about once a year, just a little battery. So keep that in mind when you're using battery powered digital things like scales. Keep your batteries updated. It's going to make things a lot easier for you. So we're up to about 225 now. Like I said, it's going a little slow. I don't want to put this on too high. Okay, so let's talk about what we're going to do with this caramel after we cool it. We're going to cool it a little bit in this cold water. We're just going to set the bottom in here. Be very careful. These are very hot. And then we're going to make a few caramel decorations. I'm just going to dip my spoon in the caramel after it gets a little bit thick, and we're going to make a caramel grid and just kind of a random decoration and a swirl, and then we'll dip some of the caramel in some cream puffs too. So caramel decorations are a lot of fun, and they're easy to do once you become accustomed to working with the caramel. So definitely have fun with it and always take your time. Don't do this on a day when you're in a hurry and you don't really have the time to do it properly. Do your first time in a day where you have enough time, and humidity affects these decorations too. If you're storing them, you're going to want to store them in an airtight container. If you're in a really humid climate, you may not want to make these the day before. You may want to make them the day of, but you're just going to have to explore how the humidity is in your home or in the professional kitchen that you're in. But typically they'll get pretty sticky in a hot kitchen because even if you're not in a humid climate, there's a lot of humidity in the kitchen from, the sauces on the stove releasing steam in the oven. So keep all that in mind and just explore what works best for you. And do we have any questions so far? We're getting a little bit of color here on our caramel, and we have a question.
Is the water ice cold or room temperature?
This water is cold that I'm going to be putting the bottom of the pan in. So you could always put some ice in here. I had a little in here earlier. It melted, but it is cold water. And also when you're cooking caramel, sometimes if you see a little bit of kind of a little bit of crusting or crystallization around the edge of the pot here, you're going to want to wash this down with a little bit of water and a brush. So I'll show you the technique really quick. I don't really have anything going on here, so typically I just leave it alone unless I get some crystallization, but be very careful. Just keep a little cup or dish with some water in it in your brush, and then you're just going to brush off those little crystals, just like that. But like I said, be very careful because your hand is going near that, and careful so you don't accidentally dunk your pinky in there too. So a lot of times chefs will chew when they're working with caramels and hot things and making things like the croquembouche, which is the stacked cream puffs dipped in caramel. They'll keep a little bowl of ice water on their table just in case they get a little bit on them, and then they can put their hand in the ice water right away. So just keep that in mind. So we're creeping up a little bit here. We're getting a little bit over to 25, so it's going to take a little time. So if anyone has any questions, be sure to let me know. Another tip when making these caramels is you're going to want to make sure that your pot and everything that you're using for the caramel is very clean. Because if there is any type of debris or if you've gotten anything in your granulated sugar, it's going to make this caramel seize up on you. Sometimes you won't see what's in there, and the caramel is just going to seize up on you, and you'll know that there was something in there. So in the pastry kitchen, we always keep a separate pot for making caramel, so it doesn't go to the main kitchen and it's not used for a really fatty sauce that's going to get in any of the pores of the pot, especially if it's an older pot. So keep that in mind. I always keep your caramel pot separate for yourself, and then you know what it's been used for, and you won't have to worry about any debris that can seize this up. So no worries if it seizes up. It's been known to happen. There's really not a lot you can do but start over. It's happened to me. It's happened to everybody. So if it's something on your utensil or in your pot or something that got into your sugar, that'll do it so easily. So just keep that in mind, and like I said, if it seizes up on you, then you'll just have to make it again. It's a small batch, you're not making anything big, so no harm done. Okay. And do we have any questions on anything?
What's the ratio of sugar to water?
Okay, so we have a question on the ratio to sugar and water. It's about the same amounts. So I put 10 ounces of granulated sugar, I put 10 ounces of water, and I put almost 2 ounces of corn syrup. You'll see different recipes. You'll be working on your own. You'll find different recipes. This is just one that I like. And keep in mind, typically when there's more water in it like this, it's going to take a little longer to cook. So we're starting to get a little bit of color here. And it's moving along just fine. It's smelling like sugar and water boiling, turning into caramel. And like I said, this temperature is going to be going up slowly a little bit at a time, so it's going to take us a little while to get there, but we're going to keep an eye on it. Make sure that it's not on too high of a flame. And please let me know if you have any questions. We're just going to be making a few decorations, and then we'll be decorating a few desserts. I made just some pastry cream in a couple of martini glasses with some sauce and berries and a little bit of whipped cream. And I've got a chocolate cake here, and we're going to make a couple of caramel decorations, and we'll be sure to dazzle our desserts, okay? So as soon as this is ready, we'll be well on our way. So we're getting a little bit of color here. Keep an eye on it too. Make sure that you're not feeling any scorching or anything on the bottom. Okay, we just got some bubbling going on. It's pretty typical. And please let me know if you have any questions on anything. So you'll be able to see when this caramel is ready. It's going to turn a nice amber color for you, and then it's going to be nice and hard for when you make your decorations. And I'm just wondering, we did the Bush de Noel, the Christmas Yule log, the holiday log, and I'm wondering if anyone had a chance to make that last week and how things worked out, if you made the chocolate flavor or if you made a different flavor, something else. So please let me know. And also, while we're waiting, if you have any questions on any of your assignments or anything that you're doing in the program, all the assignments are looking great. You guys are doing a great job. We understand that it's the holiday season, so sometimes you'll be doing more assignments for what you're making for your family or even less. So we're understanding that. Okay, so we're starting to get a little bit of color here, which means that we're getting close, but we still got a ways to go for our 320 degrees. So when you're doing sugar, I definitely recommend not going anywhere, just kind of, I'm hanging out here, I'm talking, you can, read a recipe or something while you're kind of stay pretty close, because it can shoot up pretty fast on you and you really don't want to leave it unattended. So if you have to go someplace, don't go too far, don't go outside or to a different floor or something like that. So stay close by. You want to make sure this is safe always too. So I'm just going to carefully put the bottom of the pan in this water. It's probably going to bubble and steam a little bit. I'm just going to do it a little bit at a time. If you're ever doing this and you feel like it's a little out of control, then just take it out and stop, because safety is always first. I'm just going to be moving these things up just in case we have any bubbling or spray. It could happen. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, but I'll just be doing a little bit at a time, making sure that it's okay. So if I feel like it's crazy bubbling or something, then I'll pull it out and we'll just leave it cool off on the counter. So it's only going to be in here for about 2 minutes. It's a small batch, so I'll probably even leave it in a little bit less, because what I'm looking for is I'm just looking for this to get thick, and so I can kind of use it with my spoon and spoon it. Okay, so we're at 304. We're getting close. I had to double check with my glasses on because I don't want to overcook it. Okay, so we're getting close. We only have about 15 more degrees. You see this is getting a real nice color. So it's going to kind of go back and forth now for a little bit. And we're getting there. We're at about 310 now, so we've got about 10 more degrees. So I did put my glasses on so I can watch this closely. So it's getting a nice amber color. What's nice about these probes too is they're not getting really hot either. So see, I can handle it real easy. We're at 315. We're getting some of that nice color, and in these last 5 and 10 degrees, this is where you're going to see a lot of your color happening. So just be mindful of your temperature, especially towards the end. You got to kind of keep a close eye on it. Okay, so now we've reached 320 degrees. We're kind of, okay, good. All right, so I'm going to be taking this off carefully. And then I'm going to be just dropping it in the water for just a minute or two. Okay, do we have any questions on anything so far? Okay, I've got a couple of dry towels. So I'm just going to do a little bit at a time, make sure that nothing too crazy happens when I put it in here. See how I'm just tapping it in a little bit? If you pop it in there real quick, you might get some sizzling or bubbling, but what we really want to do is we're just cooling this off a little bit here. So nothing too crazy happened, but you know it can, so be careful of that, especially if your water is really cold. So I'm just going to leave it in here for about a minute. I'm just kind of swirling it around, just cooling it off so it's going to get a little thick for me. And do we have any questions? Always make sure that your towels are dry too, because any wetness in the towel help pick up on some of that heat too. And this is a small amount. This is a thin layer here in the bottom, so we really don't have to leave it in here too long. So I see that it's getting a little thicker, and then we could let it thicken up on the counter as well. You don't really want to let it get too thick because it's hard to go back. You can melt it again, but then you know you're bringing in more of the color and just heating the sugar more, and you could end up with some smoking. That's one thing you don't want when you're making caramel, is any smoking. So it looks like it's getting a little thick for us, so we're just going to do this for another couple of seconds and then we'll take it right out. So do we have any questions on anything? Okay. Yeah, I think that's perfect like that. It's a nice color caramel. Okay, so like I said, do we have any questions on anything so far? Okay, so I just moved my thermometer and it's stuck to the cutting board really good, which is a great sign that the caramel is, it's perfect. Okay, so what we can do is we can kind of have a little bit of fun and make a little bit of kind of a random decoration. I'll do a couple of decorations. They've got to dry for a few minutes and then you can pick them up almost right away. So just use a spoon. Okay, this is already getting kind of thick on us. So I'm just going to use my spoon. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of swirl some of this caramel on top of some granulated sugar that I have. And I'm just, like I said, I'm making a little bit of a random decoration. You don't want this to be too thin because you want to be able to pick it up. And do we have any questions on anything? And what's cute about this is when you pick it up, you'll have the sugar on one side. You can use either side, but I just find these to be really cute. So I've got some stringing. That means our caramel is setting up. Be careful not to get any of that on you. So it's setting up pretty good here. I actually might have to rewarm it a little bit, but we'll see how we do. You're going to want to work quickly. What you can do on a silpat or a parchment paper too is go ahead and fill your spoon. And you could do like a caramel grid. You can do some lines back and forth and kind of go slowly when it's thick so you get the thickness of the caramel too. Because if they're too thin, they're going to break on you. Okay, we have another question.
Is it the corn syrup that makes it stay pliable?
The question is it the corn syrup that makes it pliable? It's really the cooking process that makes it pliable. Okay, so let's go ahead and set this off to the side. And we might have to rewarm this just a little bit. So what we're going to do next is I oiled this ladle handle, this whisk handle, and we're just going to try to make a little bit of a swirl around the whisk. And we're just going to try to make a little bit of a swirl around the whisk. And we're just going to try to make a little bit of a swirl around the whisk. And we're just going to try to make a little bit of a swirl around the whisk. And we're just going to try to make a little bit of a swirl around the whisk. And we're just going to try to make a little bit of a swirl around the whisk. And we're just going to try to make a little bit of a swirl around the whisk. And we're just going to try to make a little bit of a swirl around the whisk. And we're just going to try to make a little bit of a swirl around the whisk. And we're just going to try to make a little bit of a swirl around the whisk. And we're just going to try to make a little bit of a swirl around the whisk. And we're just going to try to make a little bit of a swirl around the whisk. And we're just going to try to make a little bit of a swirl around the whisk. And we're just going to try to make a little bit of a swirl around the whisk. And we're just going to try to make a by rotating it and running the caramel, and then you just pull it off. You can use a pencil as well, and you could use a dowel rod too. So the caramel's starting to get a little thick, so we'll have to try to see if we can do it, and maybe we'll just end up rewarming it. Okay, so I've oiled this earlier. We'll do it over here. Oh. Oh, it's a little thick. Not sticking too well. So let's go ahead and warm our caramel up a little bit so we can do a couple of decorations with it. It got a little thick on us, which is known to happen, so I'm just going to put it on real low here. And do we have any questions on anything? So what we'll do is we're going to go straight into some of our dipping. I've got a couple of cream puffs, and we're even going to try to dip a strawberry in this too. So let's go ahead and warm it up. Ideally, you want to use your caramel before it sets up and kind of avoid the warming, because like I said, you're going to make it a little bit darker, but let's see if we can recover this. Okay, so I've got it on a real low heat. And do we have any questions? So we'll try to get it a little bit warm so we can at least dip a couple of cream puffs in here. So as you can see, it's seized up pretty well and starting to melt a little bit. When you really get into sugar decorations, if it's something that you really like to do, you'll find that there's some different products that you could use. There's a diamalt product, which really helps you handle the sugars much better, and they can be rewarmed more easily. So keep that in mind. So we're definitely loosening this up a little bit so we could do a little bit of dipping in it. And you definitely don't want to do this too much, because you're just going to be getting, you're cooking the sugar more actually. So I'm just going to try to keep it in the melting stage so we can go ahead and do a little bit of dipping. So be careful when you're dipping things like your cream puffs, not to accidentally dip. Okay, so I've recovered our caramel a little bit where it's definitely dippable. And do we have any questions on anything? Okay, so I'm going to turn this off. Let's go ahead and we'll dip a few of our cream puffs in here. Yep, it definitely came back, but honestly, the second time around, you really got to work with this fast. So you can dip some cream puffs in the caramel. Be very careful when you're setting these down. If you drop one in, no worries, just be careful like I am getting it out. I've got the bottom dipped here, and that's okay. And these are great for making the classic croquembouche, which is the cream puff tree. Okay, and then you can also, once you dip your cream puffs too, you can place them upside down, and that's going to give you the flat top for the classic Gâteau Saint Horn. You can also try to dip some things like strawberries in your caramel. It's a super cute effect. Look how shiny it is. It's going to hold up really nice, like on a strawberry torte. Not really overnight in the fridge, but these are super cute, and it's a really nice crunch when you bite into it. So let's go ahead and use a few of our caramel decorations on our desserts. Please let me know if you have any questions. If you need any help, just give me a call. And definitely try making the caramel, make a small batch, and just have fun with it and explore it. Okay, so I just have a little parfait that I made with some pastry cream from the assignment. And I've got this kind of little random caramel decoration. So this is super cute. It's got the crystallized granulated sugar on one side. You can use it either way. I like to kind of have fun with these and use them with the granulated sugar. can kind of put it off to the side on your little dessert here. Okay, super cute, really dressed it up, gave it a little bit of height as well as some negative space. So with your cream puffs, those also go nice on these little parfait desserts. So you can serve your cream puff either on top or on the side. These are still setting up a little bit, so you can put one of your cream puffs on here. And we have another question.
Would keeping the caramel in a hot water bath keep it fluid?
We have a question. It's a great question. Would keeping the caramel in a hot water bath keep it fluid? It would for sure if you have something at home that you can use. And definitely when I had it in the cool water bath, since it was a thin amount, definitely go with less, and it's going to cool on the table, but you want to start that initial cooling by maybe dipping it in for maybe a minute or even a half of a minute. So we've got our cream puff. And this is the one that I put upside down. It's got a nice flat side on it. And we'll also serve our dipped strawberries with this as well. So they're super cute. It's a nice little crunch to the dessert. Okay, so there you go. So you've got some dressed up simple desserts with some caramel dipping. And let's go ahead and we're going to take our grid off our Silpat. You can use a Silpat like I've used today, or you can just use some parchment. You can even use an oiled sheet. Try to choose a flat sheet when you're doing this. Okay, so you're just going to lift this decoration off. Okay, I'm going to move our pan. So it turned out super cute. Sometimes you're going to have a little bit of footing on one side where you start. You can practice. You can kind of start the foot out a little bit and then snip it off. But since it's kind of incorporated into the grid, I'm going to be putting it right on my chocolate dessert. So we've got a couple of super simple desserts that are dressed up with our dipped caramel and our caramel decorations. So please contact me if you have any questions or if you need any help with anything, and have a wonderful day, and thanks for joining me. Goodbye.